Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar titled as Respiratory Care Devices Market and its Impact of the COVID-19 Pandemic on the Overall Market. I am Akshay Malunskar as the Research Manager working with the Insight Partners. First of all, I would like to thank you all for joining today's webinar. It gives me immense pleasure to see such a huge turnaround for this particular session across the countries globally. So today we will center our discussion around the current market scenario and key changes unleashed by the COVID-19 pandemic on the overall respiratory care devices market, with a special attention on respiratory ventilators, a market that has projected to cross over $4 billion during the pandemic and is expected to grow with a double-digit growth rate. So to start with the introduction of our panelists, so we have Taqir Ahmed, a lead analyst at the Insight Partners. He currently manages the medtech domain of the company, handling strategic research and consulting practices. He focuses on helping the clients understand and undertake market innovations and is engaged in building strategic partnership and manages the research team with respect to overall supervision of projects, team planning, and administration. He holds a graduation in Bachelor's of Biotechnology from the MIT University, India. Yogita Bhavkar works as the lead analyst in the healthcare domain at the Insight Partners. She is innovation-driven market researcher with a demonstrative history of working in the market research covering both qualitative and quantitative analysis in the healthcare practices. She holds post-graduation degree in Masters in Business Administration along with Masters of Biotechnology from the Mumbai University. For those who are not familiar with the Insight Partners, so what we do, we are a premium market research company that provides an actionable intelligence and market research reports. The company helps its clients in getting solutions to their research requirements through syndicated and consulting research services. Moreover, the Insight Partners helps the clients to undertake key market trends, identify opportunities, and make informed decisions by providing comprehensive market research solutions at affordable price. We specialize in key industries such as healthcare, that includes biotech, pharmaceuticals, medical devices. Apart from that, we also cater into technologies, electronics, semiconductors, automotive, logistics and transportation, energy and power, among others. So before we start, I would like to mention a few points that will help us interact during this particular session. So during today's webinar, you will have an opportunity to ask questions. You can submit your questions in writing using the chat option, and we will answer as many possible questions in the question answer session at the end of closure. We also have a handout section just above the question panel where we have uploaded our presentation. You can download the same for your reference. At the end of the webinar, we have a short survey to capture your feedback and expectations. So let's discuss the agenda of the overall session for today. First of all, we would understand the global respiratory care devices market, its revenue and forecast till 2028, followed by the understanding of key transformation unleashed by the COVID-19 pandemic, pre and post analysis. Further, we will delve into market dynamics with a mention of driving and restraining factors along with the future trends. One of our major topics involves the lucrative opportunity of the ventilator devices, followed by competitive intelligence of the key players. And to end with the session, we would have the question answer before the closures. So without further ado, let's begin our first topic of discussion, that is the respiratory care devices market scenario and overview of the same. Based on the analysis by the Insight Partners, the global respiratory care devices market is valued at $32.7 billion at the end of 2028 and is growing at a CAGR of 8.9%. The various factors driving the market growth are increasing prevalence of infectious diseases, rapidly increasing cases of asthma and COPD, rising number of product launches, and other strategic developments taken by various companies. The major market that we have studied during this process involves North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa, South and Central America. As we all know, the North American market includes presence of US and Canada, which are the major markets of this particular research. Let us understand into more details about each of the markets into this particular. So as per our analysis, the North American market is expected to grow at a CAGR of 8.8% to reach the mark of $12.13 billion at the end of 2028. And the market is currently valued at $6.75 billion in 2021. The market involves presence of US, which is the largest share of the North American market. Apart from that, the rapid spread of COVID-19, rising prevalence of COPD, increasing elderly population, and growing research and development are few of the factors that are helping the market to grow at a high CAGR. Presence of Mexico and Canada are likely to experience growth opportunity due to growing respiratory disorders and the continuous launch of various respiratory care devices in the leading organization present across these two countries. Next major market we have is Europe. Europe is valued currently at $5.16 billion and is projected to reach the point of $9.17 billion at the end of 2028. And the market is growing at a pace of 8.6% during the forecast period. It accounts the second largest share of the overall market and is anticipated to have significant growth rate due to presence of various countries such as UK, Germany, and so on. Apart from that, new amendments by the European Commission are easing the reimbursement policies for medical devices. For instance, we have seen that 60% of CPAP treatment cost is reimbursed in Germany. This helps patients to have less amounts to be paid from the pocket. However, on the other hand, stringent regulatory guidelines and approval processes of medical devices continue to hinder the market. Apart from that, shortage of healthcare professionals in various countries such as Italy and personal protective equipment has also helped also hindered the market growth ahead. With that, we have next market under study, that is Asia Pacific, which is expected to grow at a highest CAGR of 10.1% to reach the mark value of $8.9 billion at the end of 2028. And currently, the market is valued at $4.14 billion. The market includes China, Japan, India, South Korea, and Australia, and accounts for 22.8% of the market share of a global respiratory care devices. Many companies in this region are adopting various strategies to develop respiratory care devices. Further, major mergers, acquisitions, geographic expansion are helping the market to grow in this Asia Pacific region. For instance, we have seen Nihon Kohden launch their new NKY 550 series ventilators in Japan. Further, we have also seen India's first pneumatic-based portable wireless spirometer that was launched by Cipla in 2021. These factors have helped the markets to grow in the Asia Pacific region with a focus of India, China, and Japan. Further, we have South and Central America, which includes major countries such as Brazil and Argentina. This market is growing at a slow pace of 7.1% and is expected to reach the mark of $339 million at the end of 2028. The last region that we've concluded is Middle East and African respiratory care devices market, which is valued at $861 million in 2021 and is projected to reach $1,381 million at the end of 2028 and is expected to grow at a CAGR of 7%. The market is driven by various factors such as increasing government initiatives in the Arab countries, growing research and development activities, and rising number of product launches and approvals in these regions, such as South Africa and Saudi Arabia. The butterfly diagram in this particular slide depicts the major countries and its market size for the respiratory care devices, which is current year as well as forecasted year till 2028. As we see that US being the largest market in this particular region, and also many associations, companies are taking up initiatives and launching products and also investing about $100,000 to gain such a huge market size. In addition to that, we also have Germany, UK, and the European region who are also competing with the US market. In these regions, companies such as Boehringer Ingelheim, Redecol are launching products and also investing a lot of money for research and development into this particular market research. In addition to that, Asia Pacific countries such as Australia and Singapore have also launched many products, such as Air Physio in Australia have launched, and also growing exports to India in just 4 months after launching their particular product, which is an Australian-made medical devices. The trade is between this Australian company and Indian health market is helping the markets to grow at a higher growth rate. So as we talk about the respiratory care devices, we have categorized these particular devices into various categories. The first major category that we have is the therapeutic devices. Therapeutic devices include the PAP devices, ventilators, and so on. So this category of the device is expected to grow at a CAGR of 9.1% to reach the mark value of $20.4 billion at the end of 2028. The market is currently valued at $11.16 billion and is estimated to grow at a highest CAGR. Therapeutic devices segment is further includes PAP devices, which also consist of CPAP, APAP, BiPAP, which are the major products. Apart from that, we also have one of the major products, that is the ventilators. So we shall have a detailed understanding about the ventilation in the following session. Next major category we have are the monitoring devices. These devices are used to record, measure, distribute and display combinations of biometric values, including heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and temperature, and so on. With this, the market is growing at 8.5% at the end of 2028 and is valued at $5.85 billion. The market for monitoring devices currently is valued to be $32 billion in 2021. One of the major devices under this particular category is the pulse oximeter. So amid the COVID pandemic, many international and local players launched these oximeters. For instance, we have Hero Tracker, sent by Aptar Pharma, and other companies include Cipla and Tytecare, among others. Next major category we have is the diagnostic devices. These devices are growing at a CAGR of 8.8% and includes spirometers, polysomnographics, peak flow meters, among others, of which the spirometer segment is anticipated to hold the largest share, followed by PSG devices. The PSG devices are used for sleep diagnostic tests and has the highest CAGR of 9.4%. With said that, the diagnostic devices segment holds the market value of $1.6 billion currently and is expected to reach over $2.9 billion at the end of 2028. Next major category we have is consumables and accessories. Consumables and accessories include mask, tracheostomy tubes, breathing circuits, and other consumables. The mask segment of which holds the largest market share, followed by the tracheostomy and other devices. As we all know that masks have been the hottest topic during the pandemic era because it has been increasing with the CAGR of 8.5% and is valued at $963 million at 2021 and we are expecting the market to grow over $1.7 billion at the end of 2020. Because during the pandemic, the face masks were employed as personal and public control measures to prevent the spread of viruses, which also led to launch of various masks such as N95. 3M increased its production up to 2.9 billion N95 masks in 2021. Later, many players such as ViruShield Inc., Dualtech, Garrison also launched various types of masks. The enormous usage of these particular masks also led to a shortage. So, National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health launched a project called as N95 to combat this particular shortage. With this, we have seen that this particular segment is growing at the highest CAGR and is being topped throughout the pandemic era. Next aspect we have are the application areas wherein this respiratory care devices are widely used. The major application we have is COPD, that's chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. This particular segment is valued to be $7.33 billion 2021 and is estimated to reach the CAGR of 9.2% and will be valued at $13.36 billion at the end of 2028. This particular disease is considered as the third leading cause worldwide. And approximately 90% of COPD deaths in people are under 70 years occur to low to middle income countries. Sleep apnea and asthma are few of the major infectious diseases that contribute 34% of the overall share of the applications of respiratory care devices. Next major segment we have is the infectious diseases, which includes COVID-19, tuberculosis, pneumonia, influenza, and other prevailing worldwide owing to direct transfer of viruses and bacteria and other pathogens from person to person. With this, the market is growing at a CAGR of 8.1% during the forecast period to reach over $3 billion in the near future. So having said that, all the major infectious diseases, COVID-19 pandemic has hit the world and created a turmoil across the markets globally. This has also tumbled the respiratory markets too. So let's have a detailed understanding on the overall impact of the COVID-19 on the markets during and post-pandemic era. So Yogita, can you throw some light on the overall impact of COVID-19 pandemic at global and regional level?
Well, thank you, Akshay, for the wonderful introduction and providing us with the gist of this report. Moving ahead with the impact of COVID-19 scenario globally, let's talk about the pre-COVID situations first. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the use of respiratory care devices was limited to hospitals, clinics, surgical centers, and in extreme cases in the home care setting. Moreover, the steadily growing demand of respiratory home care products also never pressurized the manufacturers to expand their manufacturing capacities. Also, the regulatory approval guidelines for medical devices were not lenient for any sort of emergencies. But as you can see, with the rising cases of COVID-19, an increasing amount of information and concerns impacted the global healthcare system. Worldwide, media, local, and international health organizations, epidemiologists, virologists, and opinion makers started putting out information, recommendations, and updates on COVID-19 spreading and its lethality. The pandemic shook the roots of healthcare infrastructure, impacting other industries as well. Moving ahead, the demand for PPEs reached unprecedented levels as stockpiling strategies affected many countries, which raised the demand. Initially, many hospitals were able to convert operating rooms and general wards into ICUs using anesthetic ventilators, transport ventilators, and older ventilators coming from laboratories and teaching simulation areas. But at the peak of COVID-19 crisis, it was extremely difficult to import medical equipments and supplies because most of the countries prohibited the medical industry from selling outside their own countries. Moving ahead to next slide. Engineering teams worldwide volunteered to develop emergency devices, and medical experts in mechanical ventilation and respiratory devices helped them to guide the design and evaluation of prototypes. All the regulations varied in most of the countries. Given the emergency, some regulatory agencies eased the process to expedite the procedures. While having said so, let's talk about the impact of COVID-19 on individual regions. Coming on to North America. North America was the worst affected economies due to COVID-19 pandemic. As you can see, the North American reported a total of 104 million cases with 1.4 million deaths. The US recorded the highest number of COVID-19 confirmed cases, followed by Mexico and Canada. To cope up with this rising cases in the US, the FDA had published a device shortage list to provide transparency to the American public. Portable oxygen concentrators being one of the options that gained tremendous attention, the US-based company CARE offered portable oxygen concentrators in collaboration with AirCell. The company also increased the production to meet the rapidly increasing demand of its oxygen therapy solutions during the peak of COVID-19 in North America. Similarly, Ventec Life Systems, another American-based medical device company, began its partnership with General Motors in March 2020 to build Watson critical care ventilators. The company had manufacturing capacity of over 10,000 critical care ventilators per month with infrastructure and capability to scale further. Moving ahead with Europe, in Europe, the UK, Germany, France, and Russia were among the worst hit countries by the COVID-19 pandemic. Europe reported a total of 200 million cases with 1.8 million deaths and 192 million recoveries. This massive outbreak created a demand and need for respiratory home care products and pressurized manufacturers to expand their manufacturing capacities. In March 2020, a group of British manufacturers across different industries such as aerospace, automotive, and medical sectors formed the Ventilator Challenge UK Consortium. The challenge was to produce 10,000 medical ventilators for National Health Services under the twin code names Project Oyster and Project Penguin. Ventilator Challenge UK was a consortium of 14 firms, which included Ford, Hans, McLaren, Mercedes-AMG, Red Bull, Racing Point, and others. And non-automotive firms included Airbus, BAE, Dell, GKN, Microsoft, Siemens, and Rolls-Royce. Before the Ventilator Challenge UK, the Britain government had only 8,000 ventilators, but had to turn to the British industry to help produce almost 30,000 ventilators in a matter of weeks to fight the unexpected surge in new cases. These initiatives and activities unfolded the business potential for several industries outside the healthcare as well. While moving ahead with Asia Pacific, with their large population and socio-economic variations, had to respond quickly to the COVID-19 pandemic. Asia Pacific reported a total of 169 cases with 1.41 million deaths and 163 million recoveries. The pandemic affected the three main aspects of global economy: manufacturing, supply chain, and financial markets. Japan, China, South Korea, India, and Australia were among the hardest hit countries in the region due to large number of reported cases. Amongst these, when India faced the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, the Indian Space Research Organization developed 3 types of ventilators and offered to transfer the technology to other companies in the medical device manufacturing industry. Further, over 800 ventilators were provided by the COVID-19 Relief Fund in India by the Philips Foundation, Prorus, and the Johnson & Johnson family of companies in June 2021. Further, Toyota Motor Corporation and Toyota Group companies also produced medical face shields on a large scale in Japan, which ramped up the production capacity by almost 20 times to reach approximately 2,000 units per day from their earlier capacities of 500 to 600 units per week. The company had set goals of producing 40,000 units per month. Moving ahead with SCAM, the COVID-19 outbreak stringently affected medical services and medical tourism in South and Central America. Brazil and Argentina, being the epicenters of medical tourism, was severely hit by the second wave of COVID-19. SCAM reported a total of 58.9 million cases with 1.3 million deaths. During this period, the Brazilian Health Regulatory Agency licensed Vital, a breathing apparatus which was built exclusively for COVID-19 patients. Moreover, BYR Medical, the world's largest healthcare company fully dedicated to respiratory care, received a contract worth rupees 50 billion from the Brazilian Ministry of Health to produce 4,300 ventilators for the countries in South and Central America. Moving ahead with Middle East and African countries, countries in Middle East declared a state of national emergency, closed their borders to the foreigners, and imposed strict containment measures, including mandatory self-isolation and restricted movement for citizens with curfews. South Africa was not able to source enough ventilators for global market to meet the local demands. Thus, in June 2020, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition initiated the National Ventilator Project to tackle the rising ventilator demand. With this initiative, along with the help of South African Radio Astronomy Observatory, South Africa was able to manufacture 20,000 ventilators by November 2020 at a cost of $900 per device. South Africa's ability to produce 20,000 ventilators in response to the COVID-19 pandemic attracted more regions and showed the benefits of investing in basic research infrastructure. Well, these were some of the initiatives taken up by the companies and countries to cope up with the rising cases of COVID-19 and the overall scenario globally.
Yeah, that was insightful, Yogita. So moving ahead, we can observe that the market is estimated to grow at a CAGR of 8.9% during the forecast period till 2028. So can you highlight some factors that are driving the growth of the market and also the restraining factors, if any?
Well, yes, as rightly said by Akshay, the global respiratory care device market is expected to reach 32 billion in 2028 from a set value of 18.1 billion in 2021. Some of the growth factors driving the market are increasing prevalence of infectious respiratory diseases. Infectious respiratory diseases have and are creating a rising burden on the healthcare system worldwide, including the recent outbreak of COVID-19, which recorded the highest mortality rate globally. Prior to which, TB was one of the top on the list with higher prevalence rate. In October 2021, the WHO stated that approximately 10 million people were infected with TB worldwide, including 5.6 million men, 3.3 million women, and 1.1 million children. Out of these 10 million people, 1.5 million people died in the same year, indicating a higher mortality rate of tuberculosis worldwide. Masks, respirators, nebulizers, BiPAP devices, etc. are highly used during the post-TB treatment. Furthermore, rapidly increasing cases of asthma and COPD are other factors driving the market growth. Asthma and COPD symptoms causes are equivalent to the signs of COVID-19, which indicates that the respiratory devices used in these treatments are quite common. The US and the UK have exponentially higher cases of asthma as compared to any other regions. According to an article published by the British Medical Journal in the UK, asthma-associated deaths have increased by 33% between 2008 and 2019. And post-COVID-19, this number has raised even more further. The US statistics also reveals that 25 million people in the US have asthma. That equals to 1 in every 13 people are suffering from asthma in the US. Moving ahead, the respiratory care devices market is experiencing various changes in the technology landscape, enabling players to develop innovative products. For instance, OES Medical in Jan 2022 launched Gemini G100, an electrically driven piston ICU ventilator with an integrated oxygen concentrator for the use in intensive care. Besides, in August 2021, ResMed launched AirSense 11 with device setup tutorials on the My Air Patient Engagement app for remote patient monitoring through its AirView platform, personalized care guidance. In March 2020, in the UK, the government had asked automobile manufacturers, including Ford, Rolls-Royce, and Honda, to temporarily shift their assembly line focus from cars to developing respiratory equipments. Furthermore, growing R&D investments by respiratory care devices is also one of the reasons for market growth. Medical device research and development are considered highly capital intensive and are fraught with numerous risks. A thriving R&D ecosystem can become the perfect nurturing ground for developing globally competitive and top-of-the-line products. In 2021, ResMed had invested almost 200 million in research and development activities, representing a 7% of their net revenues. With this continued focus on developing and commercializing new innovative products and solutions, the company aims to improve patient outcomes, help physicians, and provide to better manage chronic diseases and lower healthcare costs. While we talk about the driving factors of the market, also follows are a few restraining factors which can hinder the market growth in the long run. Cutthroat competition among market players is one of the reasons hindering the market growth. The market for respiratory care devices is highly competitive due to broad product portfolio offered by key players operating in the market. Brand reputation and pricing is also something which impacts the consumer buying behavior. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many countries had organized a competition to design low-cost ventilators and other respiratory care devices. With this inability to maintain competitive pricing and offer product, companies' sales and gross margins have decreased drastically, which has hampered the market growth. Besides, unfavorable reimbursement scenarios in the medical technology evolution has evolved as a critical element in supporting health budget allocation decisions. In less developed or developing countries, medical device reimbursement is very low or actually non-existent. For instance, in China, the reimbursement and tendering systems are quite complicated for certain medical device types. Thus, the lack of regulation and process is something which is hampering the market growth. While we talk about the market drivers and restraints, here are some of the upcoming opportunities in the market. Well, growing demand for home care therapeutic devices. Home respiratory therapy has remained highly in demand to avoid the infection amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Patients' acceptance for out-of-hospital care respiratory devices have created an opportunistic pool for existing market leaders and new market players, which has also led to the emergence of various startups and low-cost product launches by local and regional players in the market. Besides, technological advancement in respiratory care devices have also created a pool of opportunities for the market players. Breathe measuring algorithms, smart inhalers, and variable analytics are at the forefront of the respiratory care technology. Lung cancers, including mesothelioma and asthma, accounts for almost 70% of the country's breathing issues. Technological advancements make it easier for specialists to diagnose and patients to administer self-care. Smart inhalers are the newest tool in the market to help respiratory disease patients get their drugs and provide vital information back to the doctors. Furthermore, the players are also are upcoming with the multiple and advanced product for buyers to choose from a wide range of alternatives in treating sleep apnea and respiratory disorders. Furthermore, growing adoption of mobile or digital respiratory care devices and value-based technology solutions are some of the trends observed in the market. The expedited digital, smart, and portable solutions are trending in the respiratory care devices market. Market players are focusing on technology, convergence, integrating digital and sensor technologies to create smart, portable, and connected medical devices, and improving clinical outcomes and patient engagement during disease management. Telemedicine is an advanced and upcoming method of healthcare delivery in which care can be provided remotely. Sleep apnea management is majorly well suited to telemedicine because of lack of any needed physical examination findings to make the diagnosis. Furthermore, with the adoption of value-based technology, the pressure to manage cost and improve quality and the availability of technology promises to ease the burden for all the stakeholders. For instance, Early Sense offers contact-free continuous monitoring and AI-powered predictive analytics. Its patient monitoring system is used in healthcare facilities to assist in early disease diagnosis. Thus, such a paradigm shift towards value-based technologies in respiratory care device market is likely to grow and provide valuable patient outcomes and further boost the market growth.
Thank you, Yogita, for your interactive information. So, as we are discussing about the respiratory devices under the COVID pandemic, we just cannot ignore the ventilator devices. This has been in talks throughout the globe during the tenure, and availability of these devices has been massively taxing to the patient as well as many countries across the globe. So let's have more understanding about these particular devices, its strengths, into more depth. Sokir, can you help us and share some cues about this particular market and its overview?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I once again welcome you all to this webinar on impact of COVID-19 pandemic on respiratory care device. Thanks, Akshay and Yogita, for highlighting the key dynamics. The global ventilator market was 3.5 billion USD in 2020 as a result of the sudden spike in ventilator demand for treating COVID-19 patients. In 2021, the global market for ventilator increased by over 31%, and this surge in the ventilator market was relatively short-lived. Demand for most ventilator models returned to normal by end of 2021. Currently, it is expected to increase significant decline to pre-pandemic level unless a bigger, more severe or wave of the pandemic ensues. Significant decrease in new ventilator sales observed due to the massive lot purchase between the year of 2020 to 21, because most of the ventilators that were purchased last year were held in reserve. Their use and replacement will be prioritized sorry, before any additional purchase are made. Global COVID-19 cases have declined at such level in most of the countries. However, the spread of new highly transmissible COVID-19 strain has raised the possibility of additional wave which may sustain the elevated level of demand in the ventilator market, which leading to a new ventilator sales. Beyond 2022, sorry, the market expects to reach sales of 8.2 billion within next 5 years. These sales will be driven by the major factors such as growing prevalence of respiratory disease, rise in geriatric population, technological advancement, improving diagnosis and treatment seeking rate in across the globe, especially in developing regions. In addition, surge in demand for portable and compact ventilator and strategic initiative done by market player will also create a lucrative opportunities during the forecasted period. The decision of ventilator purchase are, are based on pricing and compatibility, as full feature ventilator are complex and, expensive, which costing from 30,000 to 50,000 and requiring a dedicated software to administer high concentration of oxygen to assist patient in respiratory distress. While companies like Agwa Healthcare and Noco Robotics introduce low-cost ventilator, which range between 1,000 to 2,000 US dollar in pandemic era. Next slide. Let's discuss which are the type of ventilator occupy the largest market space. So based on mobility in 2019, the intensive care ventilator segment held the largest share of the market and is expected to dominate the market during the forecast period. The growth is expected due to a higher adoption of these devices in inpatient facilities, along with personalized care with improved access. However, the portable ventilator is expected to grow at a faster CAGR due to advantages offered for mobility-based ventilator during patient shifting and paradigm shift from stationary to ambulatory continues. Next. In this slide, we will talk about impact of COVID-19 on ventilator supply demand and how was the challenges managed by the stakeholder. For ventilator production, some ventilator companies have boosted their production by up to 30 to 50%, as Gatinch managed to increase ventilator production capacity by 160% in a short period of time in 2020 via partnership with various non-medical companies such as Scania, Ericsson and Volvo. Also, company able to increase its end-year target by producing more than 26,000 ventilators in the same year. On the other hand, Draeger speed up ventilator production thrice-fold in the same year and supply more than these devices more than 120 countries by expanded capacities significantly and simultaneously ramping up existing production which is in Sweden, South Africa, and also setting up a new mass production capacities in US, France and UK. Indian industrialists, including major medical device companies, also offer their factories to manufacture the ventilator. The plan is to make 30,000 ventilators at around 150 to 200 on a daily basis by the mid of May. Major demand centers, hospital and clinic are the largest consumer, followed by home care, ambulatory care and emergency medical services facilities. The growth is attributed to factors such as increasing expenditure on healthcare, availability of wide range of technologically advanced ventilators. In addition to that, increasing government initiative and well-established in healthcare infrastructure in developed countries are also contributing the growth for this market during the forecasted period. As Yogita already discussed, various strategies initiated by government and regulatory bodies in respiratory care segment, especially for ventilator, like government has asked automobile manufacturer to temporarily shift part of their assembly line to develop respiratory equipment. The US FDA granted emergency use approval, supply chain management, pricing management, among others. I would like to add one more example of emergency use authorization approval, which is Vesper device developed by Prisma Health, which can support up to 4 patients on single ventilator. Next slide. Further, to support the COVID-19 pandemic needs, The emergency use authorization was implemented for rapid product approval. Number of emergency use authorization for ventilator due to COVID as of May 2020. Respirant has 6, Redwork 3, Philips, MCNO, BMC Medical, Respirant Medical Technology has 2 emergency use of authorization approval in COVID time. Also, to expedite registration process, many regulatory agencies eased import restriction to ensure the development and supply of devices which could save many lives. To support the broader availability of the devices, the FDA encouraged foreign and domestic manufacturers of ventilator not legally marketed in the US to pursue an emergency use authorization which allow them to distribute their devices in the US. In March 2020, the US experienced a high demand for ventilator. Sorry, owing to supply constraint, a deficit occurred in the region, although manufacturers started operating at their full capacity to fulfill the unmet needs. Ventilator production in the United States increased from 2,000 to 7,000 during end March of 2020 to April 2020. Owing to the above mentioned fact, a supply demand of ventilator able to manage partially. Some major key takeaways are mid-20s decline as a global demand for ventilator, which remain well above pre-COVID level, but below peak COVID levels in 2020. Large footprint and strong inventory position have enabled companies to win share as the market returned to a pre-COVID baseline. Order intake for ventilator decreased significantly and was down substantially from its higher prior year level. Data available indicates that by September 2020, US ventilator supply and demand condition have stabilized, reflecting increased production, improved hospital treatment regimen, and successful adaptation of other respiratory products and techniques.
So thank you, Toke, for providing us such insightful analysis on the overall dynamics and opportunities areas about the ventilators market across the regions and these countries. Also, can you elaborate on the company analysis about the competitive landscape and which are the prominent players into the respiratory care devices market?
Yeah, sure. The respiratory care device market majorly consists of big medical players like Philips, Resme, Medtronic, Massimo, Redwork, and Invacare, Getinge, and many more others. The market positioning of respiratory care device companies categorized into Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 analysis, where Tier 1 companies holds more than 10% of market share in overall respiratory care device, while Tier 2 holds 5 to 10% and Tier 3 holds below 5% share in overall global market. Philips is the leading respiratory care device company that dedicated its work specifically to sleep management and respiratory device market. Currently, Philips offers subacute home care non-invasive ventilator with a particularly strong market share in home care and non-invasive ventilation segment. In April 2020, Philips market share was set to increase with the launch of Respironics E30 ventilator. Also, Philips held prominent market share in global ventilator market as well. Furthermore, the FDA granted Philips an emergency use authorization approval for the E30, and this ventilator developed for large-scale production. Company also focused on technological advancement of respiratory care devices. In November 2020, for COVID patient, Philips has introduced BiPAP A40 EFL, that is the first non-invasive ventilator that enables healthcare practitioner to automatically screen and detect expiratory flow limitation to give effective home care therapy. The company remains one of the most innovative ventilator companies in the market and is on track to continue demonstrating revenue growth coming from this segment only. VR Medical is the second leading company in the ventilator market. Company is involved in every segment of ventilator market except for few non-invasive segments. The company also shown particular success in subacute market where it held a leading position through sales of its LTV branded ventilator along with the Vela product. In May 2020, VR was selected by the European Commission as a supplier of priority medical equipment to help address the COVID-19 pandemic. Under this framework, company provides ventilators to the UN member states with a contract of 12 months. Next slide. Companies in the global respiratory care device market have been adopting organic and inorganic strategies which have been contributing to the growth of the market. These strategies include acquisition, collaboration, product launches, expansion, and many other types of development, which have been instrumental in the growth of this market as well as in the business expansion of these players. The development done by the companies, sorry. The development done by the companies have been characterized as organic and inorganic developments. The companies have maximized their growth with several strategies to enhance the market value and position in the market. The organic development hold around 80% of total development, while inorganic held around 20% of the overall strategic development done by all the companies. During the year of 2019 to 2020, companies such as Medtronic, Philips, and Massimo and others have been implementing organic strategies that have helped the growth of the company and in turn have brought about various changes in the market. The company have utilized strategies such as launching new product to expand their geographic reach and capacity to cater a large number of customers. Some of the organic development taken by these players are Medtronic. In 2021, Medtronic launched SonarMed airway monitoring system. In 2020, Massimo launched SET pulse oximetry, which is a non-invasive respiration rate monitoring device. Inorganic development done by the companies are acquisition and merger along with partnership. Companies such as Air Liquide and Redwork have been implementing these development that have brought about dynamic improvement in the market which they are operating. Some of the inorganic development taken by key players include in 2021, Redwork has acquired the majority share of Steamit AG. In 2021, Air Liquide acquired Betamed, that's a major player in industrial gas and medical oxygen sector. Air Liquide has boosted its ability to offer, European home healthcare. These growth strategies have added the market player in the expansion of their business and enhance their geographic presence. Additionally, growth strategies such as acquisition and partnership help in strengthening their customer base and increase the product portfolio. The comparative analysis evaluate and categorize respiratory care device companies based on product portfolio, recent market development, and geographic presence that aids business in better decision making and understanding the competitive landscape. Which the product portfolio include product satisfaction, features, availability, pricing, while recent market development include merger acquisition, product launches, investment, and all. The figure profoundly explored the recent development by the leading vendor in the global respiratory care device market. When come to the growth strategy analysis, the mentioned figure defines the various growth strategies opted by the different companies operating in the market. The company initiating distinct growth strategy will have high potential to penetrate in the market. The data signify the recent development activities and how strong the companies in their respective field. The graph enables to gauge the depth and breadth of the vendors and one of the key understanding while developing the global respiratory care device product penetration. Next slide. The respiratory care device market experienced various changes in the technological landscape, enabling players to develop innovative products. Leading companies consolidate the market through various R&D activities to offer modern products. The mentioned table lists a few recent product approval and launches in the respiratory care device market. Thus, the rising product launches and approval helps to companies for their expansion and help in establishing footprint in the respiratory care sector.
Yes, indeed, we have observed these market scenario across the globe. So thank you, Dr. for a highly interesting facts and figures about the overall market and the ventilator devices. So with said that, we will go through our question and answer session. We've already received a lot of questions from the audience, and I would encourage all to submit the question in writing by using the question panel on your right window.
The yeah, the respiratory care device market exhibit numerous growth opportunities in Mexico. The market is projected, basically the market was reached in 2021 was 300 million, sorry, and will reach around 500 million by 2028, with exhibiting a healthy CAGR of around 7 during the forecast period. Respiratory disease such as COPD and asthma are becoming a public health concern in Mexico. These disease are among the leading cause of death. As per research survey published in the International Journal of Infectious Disease, mild respiratory distress was observed in 56%, moderate one 29, severe respiratory distress around 2.4% of the population taken during the sample study. Furthermore, major health issues such as obesity, increased risk of breathing disorder among people, supplementing the growth of respiratory device in Mexico. Strategic approaches by key players stimulate progressive growth of the market. For instance, in 2019, Mexican Secretary of Health approved Nuevo Air technology across the country. The company has further collaborated with Infarmo, which is a medical device company. Infarmo previously launched digital health solution across the Mexican market. Therefore, expansion of major player across the country has resulted in fueling the growth of respiratory care in Mexico.
Thank you, Doctor. So we have a next question on the startups of the respiratory technology medicals. So Yogita, can you help us in understanding the overview of the startups globally?
Well, yeah, sure, Akshay. The COVID-19 pandemic has given rise to an increased number of new and affordable respiratory care devices. While we talk about a few startups in the market, the Israeli medical device startup Hospitic Respiration with its product ApnoGuard system has gained a lot of attention throughout 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The device has already received US FDA authorization and a CE mark for its use in Europe, and it provides automated control of the airway cuff pressure, preventing infection or damages in the lung. In November 2020, Hospitec Respiration, in response to increased global demand for its airway management system, worked with the Chinese firm Awake Zone to open a new manufacturing facility in China. With the global health crisis still causing high number of hospitalizations in many countries, the company's flagship device is likely to gain further attention moving forward and has already been deployed in hospitals in Israel, China, and the US. The second company is the US health tech firm Arian Medical, which develops therapeutic devices that improves nasal breathing by using low pressure radiofrequency energy to remodel soft tissues in the nose. Another company named C-Star Medical, founded in 2018, develops novel immunodilating technologies to address life-threatening conditions related to the excessive inflammation of vital organs. The company is also investigating in how its device can be used to treat people with kidney failure, which is a symptom experienced by a significant number of COVID-19 patients in intensive care units. And in April 2020, the company also received an IDE, that is investigational device exemption approval for the FDA to carry out pilot studies in this area. Likely there are a few more companies to list down like Xcore Therapeutics and Cicadia Health who have been paving their way and are worth keeping an eye beyond 2022.
Thank you, Yogita. We have a next question on the research methodology that has been adopted by the key insight partners in estimating the market. Yeah, so I would be taking it ahead. So to explain the research methodology, we have a basic three-step process, which is a robust methodology which includes primary research, secondary research, and data triangulation, or data validation, as we call it internally. So to start with, we take into consideration the secondary research methodology, wherein we glance through the annual reports, investor presentations, white papers, journals, articles, and so on that is available in the public domain to understand qualitative insights of this particular market. In addition to that, we have our own repository, which are paid database sources, which helps us engage in a lot of information about the market in terms of the market dynamics, best analysis, its future trends, and so on. So with this, we built up a basic study and also developed the market numbers in terms of global, regional, and country level, as well as various segments, such as various devices or application areas and so on. So with said that, we move to the next process, is the primary research. So primary research involves getting in touch with industry experts or subject matter experts who are working in this particular industry for more than 8 to 10 years. So they are the exact people who have the understanding about the ground reality, exact market and the market at niche level, at country level, and at all the segments level because of the companies that they are working into. We also have consultants who are working with us at project to project basis based on various regions and countries wherein there's a hindrance of language barrier or niche market analysis. So these primaries helps us in understanding the market at into more detail and also helps us giving a 360 holistic view of the overall market. So with the primary and secondary research, we do our in-house research as the Insight Partners, wherein we build up a hypothesis study, data modeling, market estimations, and our own house desk research. Having said that, we build the global based numbers, drilling down into regional and country level analysis, and further drilling to the segmental analysis and top down and bottom up approaches. With the finalization of the market numbers, we get back to the primary respondents who we have already spoken during the second phase, wherein we validate the data that we have estimated during the process of the market estimation. So this gives us more confidence about what numbers we have been worked on, and we publish this particular market numbers into our reports that we are available on sale. So yes, the next question we have is, Takir, maybe you can take it ahead. Can you brief us about the N95 mask into more details?
Yeah, sure. Before the pandemic, as we know, N95 masks have been widely used in pharmaceutical, biotechnology, healthcare, construction, manufacturing, and mining, oil and gas industry, as these masks are capable enough of preventing the entry of micron-sized particle into the human respiratory system and oral cavity. Right from the initial phase of this crisis, the World Health Organization as well as health authorities from many countries have been instructing healthcare professionals and the general public to use facial masks that lessen the chance of viral transmission from infected person. Such such sudden surge in demand has created a burden on N95 mask manufacturers across the world. To meet the rising demand, the local, regional, and international manufacturers have scaled up their mask production capacity. The pandemic has also generated opportunities for startup to enter into the market and expand their reach. The N95 mask market players are actively involved in business development activities such as product launches, partnership, agreement, expansion, and all. For instances, in July 2020, US-based companies such as 3M, Honeywell, Prestige invested in the domestic production of N95 masks. In addition to that, in September 2020, Arvind Limited, one of the largest textile to retail conglomerates in India, and ACT grants partner to meet the goal of producing 30 million N95 masks in the following year. Thus, continuous effort and investment by the market player to address the rising demand by uplifting the production and sales of their product in the domestic and international market are driving the N95 mask market growth during the forecast period and during the pandemic era.
So thank you both of you. So as we have reached the end mark, we will close this session currently. We will answer all the remaining questions in writing, and we will get back to you via email shortly. I hope this webinar was interesting to you all and that it happened also provided you with the valuable insights. For additional details on the topic, I will encourage all the attendees to view the publications of the Insight Partners. The company offers a broad range of research reports covering topics across 11 verticals, including healthcare. The team analysts of the Insight Partners put forth eye to detail for most crucial market trends, which helps several clients across the globe. The company provides one-stop solution for the clients, helping them with daily news updates, analytical dashboards, and real-time data feed services. The key strengths of the Insight Partners are the analysis of niche markets and cutting-edge technologies, as well as the repository of historic and benchmarking history. All of this has helped the company gain reputation across 60% of Fortune 500 companies. So thank you all for your valuable time and have a good day ahead.
Thank you all to all attendees.